A silver lining in this series for the Royals has been the pitching of Joakim Soria. Another would be avoiding a sweep today against the Minnesota Twins. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. I'm Ryan Lefevre. And the Royals, other than his confidence, have maintained that they are not concerned with Joakim Soria's ability to bounce back. And by the way he's pitching this series, Frank, he might be on his way.
Well, 3 scoreless innings, Ryan's that's a good way to look at him and say, look, he might be getting this done, but confidence is not an easy thing to get back after you lose it. So he still has to go through that area where he's getting those high-pressure situations.
He has pitched 3 scoreless innings against Minnesota in the first 3 games. He has not allowed a base hit and getting the movement that we're used to seeing from Joakim Soria. On the offensive side, the Royals have only scored 2 runs in each of their last 4 games.
Well, they're just not having those extra base hits, and they're not getting those clutch hits, and that's what takes the team the other way. They face pretty good pitching, but you have to execute, and they're not getting that done right now.
The Royals' bottom third of their batting order on most days are going to give the Royals a whole lot of defense, but lately not much offense.
And that's the weakest part of your lineup. Your top 6 guys are your best hitters, and you need that bottom of the order to get on base and bring that offense back to your 1 and 2 hitters, and that's how you have those sustained rallies in a ballgame.
The Royals' first win on this long homestand began with good starting pitching as Jeff Francis beat the Los Angeles Angels. Today, he tries to beat the Minnesota Twins. We'll talk about his last start when we come back. Lottery. When you play, students win. Jeff Francis starts today for the Royals. Last time out, Frank, we've seen this before. Trouble early, but he finished strong.
And that comes from being a professional pitcher, and that's what Jeff Francis brings to this rotation. A lot of pitchers on this staff can really learn from him that you can get yourself in trouble, but you have to be able to pitch your way through it.
The lineup he will face today, the Minnesota Twins came into the series hitting .238 as a team, but in the first 3 games, they have come up with 10 hits, 11 hits, and then last night, 13 hits. Very few regulars from opening day are still in the lineup. One of them is AT KCA, who was supposed to open at shortstop, and he's had a big series against the Royals.
Well, Twins manager Ron Gardhire said you can't really worry about who's not here, but who is here, and these guys have to step up. And AT KCA has been one of those players stepping up for the Twins.
It'll be Brian Dunsing pitching for the Twins today, and he's given the Royals a bad time. He is 4-1 in his career against KC, and here are some of the hitters that the Royals will be leaning on today to beat Dunsing this afternoon. In fact, it took the Royals 12 tries, 12 appearances until they finally beat Brian Dunsing, with Wilson Betemeet leading the way, a .462 average against the Minnesota lefty. It's the Royals and the Twins, and the first pitch is next. Time Warner Cable. It is a hot day in Kansas City, and out in left field wearing his black shirt in the hot sun is Joel Goldberg.
Well, that worked out really well, didn't it? Well, Jeff Francis is getting the start today, as you guys have mentioned, and you know, you can't usually ask him too often about his next start. He doesn't say a whole lot. He wants it that way. But one thing you can ask him about is hockey. He's the one guy in the clubhouse that likes hockey because he is, of course, from Canada. So when he went to drive home last night and his native Vancouver Canucks are in the Stanley Cup Finals, he listened on the radio and he was very happy that they won 11 seconds into overtime for two reasons. One, because it's his hometown team, and two, with the way hockey games go, they can go all night long if it's tied up. He didn't want to stay up late. He wanted a good night's sleep. His team won. He heard it on the radio. Good night's sleep. Ready to roll today, guys.
All right, Joel, and along those lines, in our Fox Hot Watch today, Denny Matthews, who is a big hockey fan, picked Jeff Francis because of that very reason, because his hockey team won last night. So we'll see if that pans out today as he makes his 13th start of the year.
Translates into good karma. That's what everybody's hoping today. But Jeff Francis is a quality starter. I mean, Ryan, he just definitely deserves more than what he's gotten out of this season so far. In his last start, he battled through a tough early part of the game and then got deep in the game. And his team's always had a chance to win when he's been in the game.
Not many strikeouts, so he uses his defense, and the Royals haven't been making many changes for quite a while on defense, with the exception of the third base, second base combination. And today it's Wilson Betemit at third and Mike Aviles at second base. So Francis seeing the Minnesota Twins for the second time this year and for the third time in his career. When he got off to that good start and was getting no run support, one of those starts was against Minnesota and gave up just 3 runs in 7 innings. Outside to Ben Revere. So Denard Span is out for a second straight game. Revere plays in center field and leads off. 5 hits in the first 3 games. Minnesota's first round pick from 2007. He has an 8-game hitting streak. Pena hesitating after not getting that call from home plate umpire Corey Blazer. And that's lined into right center field. So Ben Revere has a 9-game hitting streak. And the Twins have great speed at first base. 91 degrees. Game started at 1:11, and the time and temp is brought to you by the Parking Spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The Parking Spot at KCA. In full sunlight. We just showed you Jeff Francoeur in right field. And it will be a tough day for the outfielders, dealing with the heat and dealing with the glare.
Ryan, you talked to a lot of the Twins people, and they look at Ben Revere, and they sort of compared him to what Dyson did for the Royals when he was here earlier. He just brings a ton of energy to the team, and when he's on the field, the team just doesn't seem lifeless.
Revere, by the way, is the only hitter that will bat left-handed against Jeff Francis today. And here's the reason why. Righties are batting .316 against him. A couple of switch hitters. Casilla up there now, and Tolbert will bat right-handed. So Ron Gardenhire on one hand, giving Denard Span and Justin Morneau another day off like he did last night. And then again, why not just load the lineup up with right-handers?
Well, you see that big number, and it tells you right away that his changeup is not being effective against right-handed hitters. You know, use your fastball in and out, and then throw your changeup, and then you use this good curveball he's got. So I would say the changeup hasn't been a pitch that's played well for him against right-handers.
2 balls, 1 strike. I think it's accurate to say the breaking ball, either the curveball or the slider, is for a same side hitter. So lefty against lefty, righty against righty. And the changeup is for the opposite side, lefty against righty, righty against lefty.
Right, because the changeup is the only pitch he's got other than his fastball that goes away from a right-handed hitter, and the changeup actually goes down in a way, which forces a lot of right-handed hitters to have to reach. Well, a curveball, he can throw it to righties, but he's got to make sure it stays down. If it stays up, that's what gets hit.
Casilla with his second career 4-hit game last night. And he had a bunt hit mixed in. Hosmer down to second, and he throws it into left center field. Well, the Royals were not going to get a double play with the speed of Casilla, but Royals are hoping to get the lead runner instead. Runners at second and third with nobody out.
Well, right here, Eric Hosmer's got plenty of time to get the runner at first base, but he had already made his mind up to go to second base, but you can't. Probably underestimated Revere's speed going down to second base, and the throw went down in behind it. But right now, they do have a chance to get the runner at first.
So an error for the Royals in the first inning, and now they've allowed an error in 6 of their last 7 games. And Michael Kadire gets jammed and pops it up. So there's a break for the Royals. Escobar makes the catch for out number 1. Kadire already has 5 RBIs in the first 3 games, and he had 2 more out there, but Francis made a good pitch in on his hands. So second and third, one out, and now Danny Valencia, who by default bats fourth the last two games. The sixth Minnesota Twin to hit cleanup this year. And the Royals might be catching him at the right moment. He is 0 for his last 7, 1 for his last 14. Ben Revere, a leadoff single. AT KCA trying to bunt him up. Reaching on the throwing error by Hosmer. Outside, 2-0. Francis has had a few starts like his last one, which we talked about, where he has had his problems early, but then pulls it together. And he had a start just like that against the Twins on April the 12th. Finished the game retiring 12 of the last 13. The Twins with 3 runs in 7 innings. And in that game, of the 21 outs that he recorded, 17 were either on the ground or by way of a strikeout. Four-pitch walk, so they're loaded up. That does open up the possibility of a ground ball and a double play. And for Francis, who hardly walks anybody, that's just his 16th walk of the year.
Well, basically, he just depends on the guys hitting the ball, putting the ball in play. And today, he's just off the outside corner just a little bit. He's going to need that corner before the day's over. He just got to get it a little bit closer, and then he started to get it.
A strike to Delman Young, who's hit in 5 straight games. Drove in a run last night with a chop base hit towards third, a ball that bounced off the plate. The Royals were not defending against the bunt. They were playing back for Delman Young. A swinging bunt, if you will. Now down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes.
You can see right here how this changeup just goes away, and it looks good for a minute. Then all of a sudden it tails down and away, and he had no chance to even hit that ball. Even if he hits that pitch, he doesn't do anything with it.
Blocked by Pena. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and two. This is a good place to pitch, unless we get one of those hot summer days with the wind blasting out of the south. The wind is not a factor at the moment, but most pitchers would love pitching here, and Jeff Francis, in his first year with the Royals, has pitched much better at Kauffman Stadium than he has on the road. His ERA is 3 points better here, more than 3 points. Still 2-2 on Delman Young. At home, just a shade over 3.09. But on the road, 6.75.
Well, smaller ballparks, you don't have a lot of room to make mistakes. Here, when you got a hitting count, you can go after the hitter and usually come out ahead.
Grounded to Betemit. Off balance throw to second. Aviles picks it and couldn't get it over to Hosmer in time. And now KCA had wandered off at third base, but Betemit, I guess he was frustrated by his throw to second base. He didn't react to it. The Royals, for a moment, they had KCA in between third and home, but it looked like Betemit wasn't paying attention.
Well, he really didn't take the time to get on the right foot to make that throw a good throw to Aviles at second base. He makes a good throw there. They turn a double play. You see, he just threw off the wrong foot, didn't take that step in the direction he wanted to throw it. Mike did a good job picking it out of the dirt, but didn't mishandle when he went to throw to first base.
So Delman Young gets an RBI, his 13th, 1-0 Minnesota. Now first and third for Luke Hughes. Hughes played on Friday and was 1 for 4 with a run scored, just called up after Jason Kubel and Jim Thome were placed on the disabled list Thursday. AT KCA making a move down from third every time Francis throws over to first. It was his bunt and subsequent throwing error by Eric Hosmer that got this inning going. And again throwing over to first base. Two 2-0. Last night I should say, was Mizzou night here at Kauffman Stadium, and Luke Hughes will never forget a former Missouri Tiger. Last year in his first major league at bat, he had a home run off of Max Scherzer, joining an elite group of players who have homered in their first at bat. He has one home run this year in a couple different tours with the Twins, and that was against the Royals back on April the 29th. Luke Hughes signed by the Minnesota Twins out of Australia. And that is a second 4-pitch walk given up by Francis in this inning.
He's just having a hard time bringing that ball into the plate. He wants to throw to the outside corner, but he's off the plate by quite a bit, and they haven't been able to make that adjustment so far.
This is kind of against the norm for him, with more balls than strikes. Normally, if you're going to get to Jeff Francis, you're going to have to swing the bat. He has allowed 90 hits, 91 after Revere's in this inning, but he had the 6th best walks to innings pitch ratio in the American League. The 2 walks in this inning, both of those on 4 straight pitches, and now inside to Jason Repko. Repko 0 for his last 14. Played in the series last night for the first time and was 0 for 4. And on the 25th pitch of the inning, Francis makes the count 1-1. Lined into center field. Aviles couldn't quite reach it. Minnesota is going to get 2 more runs. Hughes will go first to third. So Repko's 0 for 14 is history, and Minnesota leads 3-0 in the first inning.
This ball by Repko really hasn't hit that hard. It just hit in a good spot. He had to reach for it right off the end of the bat in a big part of the middle of the infield where it's easy to get the ball through. And Mike does a good job trying to knock this down. If he knocks it down, at least save 1 run. But you see 2 runs scored on that base hit up the middle.
So 3 runs, 2 hits, a couple of walks and an error in the inning. And that brings up Drew Butera. Her ball is in for strike 1. Butera alternating with Rene Rivera behind the plate in this series. Rivera Thursday and last night. Butera Friday and today. And on Friday, 1 for 2 with a double and a couple of RBIs. Batting at just 140. That's 14 hits and 100 at bats. Grounded up the middle. Escobar picks it off, gets it to Aviles to put an end to the inning. Minnesota gets 3. Dunsing in the bottom of the first inning with Alex Gordon, Melky Cabrera, Eric Hosmer, Jeff Francoeur, Billy Butler, Wilson Betemit, Mike Aviles, Brian Pena, and Alcides Escobar. And the Royals will try and beat Brian Dunsing for the second straight time.
Well, Brian Dunsing's got good enough stuff. I mean, this guy, his ERA's always been low, especially against left-handed hitters, but he's capable of throwing a pretty good game. So he's going to be featuring a fastball, curveball, and a changeup to the Royals today.
And right away, he will face his former teammate from the University of Nebraska. Alex Gordon, Brian Dunsing, Jabba Chamberlain at one point played together. Cornhuskers advanced to the 2005 College World Series, the year that Alex was drafted in the first round. And Dunsing that year drafted in the third round. Alex at .435 against the Angels and now the Twins. 5 hits in this series. And he grounds to Tolbert, 1 away. Dunsing isn't very big. 6 foot, maybe. 205 pounds. Born in Kansas in Marysville, but he grew up in Omaha. He was 4-0 in his first 11 appearances against the Royals. And then the Royals finally got to him back on April the 30th. He did pitch well in that game, but took the loss. 2-0 on Melky Cabrera. It is Dunsing's third start against the Royals this year. In his first start back on April the 12th, Melky Cabrera, who bats now, literally knocked him out of the game. He hit a line drive off of Dunsing's left knee in the 7th inning. Dunsing wanted to stay in there, but he was getting up there as far as pitch count goes, so he came out of the game. Five starts, 12 total appearances for Dunsing against the Royals before today. Lifted to left, the wind is blowing that way, and Delman Young right to the edge of the warning track to get Melky 2 down in the first inning. And we'll look at Minnesota defensively today with Delman Young, Ben Revere, Jason Repko in the outfield. An infield of Danny Valencia, Alexi Casilla, Matt Tolbert, Luke Hughes over at first, and Drew Butera behind the plate. So right now, with Delman Young in left and Alexi Casilla at second, when the Twins had their opening day lineup and looked at the team they thought they'd have all year, those are the only two projected starters. Young in left, Casilla at short.
That leaves you a lot of work to do. But the one thing the Twins are doing, though, Ryan, they're not coming at you with AAA pitchers. They're coming at you with guys who've had success at this level: Blackburn, Pavano, Dunsing. So if they were throwing AAA pitchers at you, you can say, well, why is this team beating you? But even though they don't have the names on defense, they got much more speed on this ball club right now. And the guys aren't beating themselves defensively, and having a quality starter on the mound, a guy capable of giving them a good game, then that's a recipe for winning a game also.
Hosmer with a half swing ground out, and it's a very fast first inning for Dunsing. Leedy in his gray Royals jersey and blue hat. He is sitting in the Sprint suite with 11 guests. 4 sending in his text message in our Sprint You Call It question. And registering for the suite. We'll give you the details in just a moment. As Jeff Francis goes back to work and Matt Tolbert fouls it back to the net. Twins with 3 runs, all unearned in the first. The result of an Eric Hosmer throwing error. And now a curveball is popped up. And Bedemeat makes the play. 1 down. Today's question: your favorite defensive play of the week? Alex Gordon last Sunday at Texas. In what has become a trademark play for him in left field, diving towards the line, going to his right. How about Thursday night against the Twins? Alcides Escobar, a strike to Ben Revere. I think that was an experiment for him to this point. I think if he wanted to, he could have charged and caught it with his glove, but he's so good and so creative on defense. I thought, well, what happens if I tried to catch this ball barehand?
More bad than good in the long run.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Ben Revere. And then how about Brian Pena Friday night with the ball and Denard Span arriving at home plate at the same time. Curveball grounded to Hosmer. That takes him way off the line, but Francis gets to the bag in front of Revere. 2 up, 2 down in the second inning. So text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, followed by a space, A for Gordon, B for Escobar, C for Pena. What do you think, Frank?
I think C. I mean, I think it's hard for a catcher to stay in there when the ball is kind of bouncing in. It's not a one-hop throw. It's not a throw all the way. That ball took a couple hops, low to the ground right at the same time Span got there. So it took a major amount of concentration to hang in there knowing you're going to get run into in that situation. And I believe in redemption. I think Brian Pena made a statement with that play.
After what happened on Sunday, the same day that Alex made his play. Oh and 1 on AT KCA. And he lines a base hit to right field. That is his 7th hit in this series after getting 4 last night. And the second time he's been on base today. This is one of those days where both pitchers, for their sake and the sake of their defense, want to have short innings.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. Those are hard days on the defense when you're standing around and the pitcher's working deep counts to every hitter. You get back on your heels and you're not ready for that hard hit ball when it's hit to you. But you look at the grouping of a lot of Francis pitches on the outside part of the play. He hasn't used his fastball inside much at all. So KCA went out and stroked the hit in the right field. So I think he's going to have to come inside with his fastball a little bit more and get those hitters from keep those hits from taking the entire plate away.
2-0 on Kadire, who popped out to short in the first inning. I have seen so many games here, not as many as you, on days like this or hotter, that if the game doesn't move along in the first 5 or 6 innings, it may look like a harmless game, but the 7th and the 8th rolls around and all these guys have been standing out in the sun and all the heat, and the game can just fall apart in the last 2 or 3 innings. Pena's throw is high, and Aviles had to show off his vertical to save the throw from sailing into center field. KCA has his 3rd stolen base in this series and his 8th of the year.
Well, he got a real good jump on Francis on that play, and the last 2 or 3 guys that Brian Pena tried to throw out, his ball is running really bad right back down the first baseline into the runner. And looks like his arm is dropping a little bit more on every throw. He needs to get back on top and straighten that throw out. It definitely helped your middle infields a lot better.
Two and 2 on Michael Kadire. Kadire is the DH. So no Justin Morneau, no Denard Span for a 2nd straight game. Kadire driving in 5 runs in the first 3 games, and he came up with runners at 2nd and 3rd in the first inning today, but Francis got him on a pop out to short. The Twins did eventually score 3 runs. Popped up again. This time shallow right field. Francoeur grabs it, and Minnesota is scoreless in the 2nd. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. By Panera Bread Catering. Order online at PaneraKansas.com. And by Chevy. See your Kansas City area Chevy dealers. One strike on Jeff Francoeur. To be followed by Billy Butler and Wilson Betemeat. Royals down in order against Brian Dunsing in the bottom of the first. Minnesota getting all of its runs in the top of the first, all unearned runs. 3 RBIs for Francoeur in this series, and last night picking up career RBI number 500. 2-1. Popped up. And Hughes shading his eyes with his glove. And he has the sunglasses on, didn't flip them down. And there's one away. New series begins tomorrow, 4-game series with the Toronto Blue Jays, and tomorrow is a Royal night. So you can purchase $5 high V level tickets for the 7-10 game. Felipe Paulino has had 2 very good outings for the Royals, will start. And Brandon Morrow, who almost pitched a no-hitter last year for the Jays. He will oppose Paulino. $5 tickets tomorrow. So 4 up, 4 down, and now Billy Butler with 1 out. And Dunsing misses away. Billy 3 out of 11 in the first 3 games. 2-0. Billy normally is good against left-hand pitching because of his ability to go the other way, but against Dunsing, 1 out of 12. That hit was a home run. 2 balls, 1 strike.
A lot of times guys will have an idea of what a pitcher's trying to do to him, like in Dunsing, he wants to stay away. So he wants to hit the ball away, but that doesn't make that pitch get enough of the plate for him to do something with it. So it's off the plate just a little bit. You take a good swing, but you end up fouling the ball off.
Three and 1. Billy overall at .295. But when you break him down against righties and lefties, .326 against the lefties. Lines it to left, and he will add to that average. Delman Young very deep. Royals have a runner at first with 1 out.
So that's the difference here. Now this pitch gets more of the plate, and Billy can do something with it. But when it's on the outer half, he's guessing that way. And it doesn't take that good swing. But you can see right there, his head and eyes are right there on the ball as it contacts the bat. And I think that's the big difference right there, is that he knows he wants to go away, but just not making that pitch be a good enough strike to put in play.
And Wilson Betemeat going after a changeup down. Now Betemeat has outstanding numbers against Dunsing. We showed you that at the top of the broadcast. .462 over 13 at-bats. One ball, 1 strike. One and 2. A reminder, the Major League Amateur Draft starts Monday night. Check out columnist Steve Cameron's 5 commandments for a successful draft. Also feature writer Greg Eklund's trip down memory lane. Greg recalls the national shock of 25 years ago when the Royals drafted Bo Jackson and then signed him. All at FoxSportsKansasCity.com. Line just foul. Tough call for Mike Winters, trying to get out of the way and make the call at the same time.
Well, he didn't quite get turned around on this and just got it. Wow. Got the leg up just in time. But if he wasn't awake, he's awake now.
What was that?
Jeez.
He must have been convinced that Dunsing was either going to throw to first base, or did he ask for time? What was that?
Well, he didn't raise his hand to ask for time, and until you get it, you got to be ready to hit.
And it didn't look like he was asking for time. You wonder what he was asking home plate umpire Corey Blazer. He just gave up. He thought Dunsing was going to throw to first base.
He got tricked. Maybe he's asking about a potential balk right there.
I was thinking you. So anyway, 1 ball, no strikes on Mike Aviles. 1-1. Aviles down to 227. He is 0 for his last 8, but as we showed you earlier, good numbers against Brian Dunsing. Batting with Butler at first base and 2 outs. I'm sure there's a way for it to happen, but there are many, many more ways for a pitcher to convince the runner at first that he's going home and throwing to first, and that being a balk. But I don't know if there's a way for him to convince the hitter that he's going to first and pitches and it's a balk.
Well, that was a first for me.
Royals are scoreless in the second. Third, and here's today's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. And as far as league leaders go, most quality starts by American League left-hand pitchers. Jeff Francis tied with Zach Britton, CC Sabathia, and Mark Burley for the second most. Ricky Romero leading the league, and we will see him on Thursday afternoon in the final game of the Royals Blue Jays series. Pulled foul by Danny Valencia. A couple of things went wrong for the Royals defensively in the first. When Minnesota scored 3, there was an error and a double play that was not turned. With a runner at first, nobody out, KCA dropped down a bunt. Eric Hosmer tried for the force at second, but threw it into the outfield. That put runners at second and third and nobody out. 2 balls, 1 strike. Then after 1 out, Valencia walked, and Delmon Young hit a sharply hit ground ball to third. Looked like a chance for 2, but Bedamit did not make a good throw to Mike Aviles, and the Royals got only 1 out. And a couple of batters later, Jason Repko hit a 2-run single. 1 away in the 3rd inning, and we remind you that it's another carsoup.com email the booth day. Go to carsoup.com/Royals. Once you're there, CarSoup will ask for your zip code. Fill that in. You'll be sent to a different page where you can submit your appropriate question. Old foul towards the left field corner. 1 strike on Delmon Young, and on the other end, judging those appropriate questions, is Joel Goldberg. Good pitch. 0-2. Francis also walked 2 in that 3-run first inning. 1-2 on Young. Delmon Young trying to put the pieces together. He's hit in 5 straight games. Ended up with an RBI on that fielder's choice in the first inning. Now he hits one right to Alex, trying to angle away from the sun, and there are 2 outs in the 3rd inning.
Well, Francis starting to get that outside corner a little bit more, even though that second pitch of that last at bat was off the plate. If he can get Corey Blazer right in there with him, then that would be good for him the rest of the day.
Didn't get the call there. 1 ball, no strikes. Corey Blazer is the junior member of this umpiring crew, working behind home plate. Mike Winters at first base is the crew chief. And as it turns out, the junior member gets the plate on a 90-plus degree day game in Kansas City. Do you think that was just the way it all came together, or do you think that was somewhat predetermined when this series began? 4-game series, which means all umpires will work all 4 spots.
I think that the new guy gets the worst day. I agree with that.
Two and two. You can just hear the umpires before game 1 on Thursday. You know, Corey, you've been working really hard lately. Why don't you have third base tonight? Just take it easy down there. I mean, do your job and do it well, but I'll give you third base tonight. Which means second base on Friday, first base last night, and behind the plate today. Francis has his first 1-2-3 inning. Minnesota leads 3-0. friend's diagnosis with cancer, organized a series of lemonade stands throughout the summer of 2009 to help earn $700 for help with medical bills. In addition, following his father's heart attack, Beckett set school records in fundraising for the Jump Rope for Heart program. How about that? So he is 10 years old now, but at 8 years old, organizing lemonade stands to help out his buddy. Buck would say, young man, you sit right here.
He'll own his own business one day.
Brian Pena flies out to left field, one down in the third inning. Back to our You Call It question for today, presented by Sprint. And Brian Pena is the leader, 57% with his blocking of the plate on Friday, which apparently injured Denard Span. That's what jarred his neck. Oh, yeah.
That's whiplash right there. He just hit a brick wall. He just couldn't go anywhere. And everything on the upper half goes forward. You can see the neck go forward. And probably didn't feel it that night, but we got the next morning. He probably couldn't move it.
I don't want to make light of it. I mean, it is a neck injury, but just looking at that super slow-mo, it looked like one of those car dummies when they show a crash in slow motion and how the body reacts because of the impact. Escobar with a one-out single to left. He put an end to an 0 for 20 last night.
The pitch is on the inside of the plate. He does a better job of just standing there and rotating on the backside. But anything he's got down the middle, he's got to reach for. You don't see that same swing. And that's where you see the ball really jump off his bat when he stays together.
One on, one out for Alex Gordon. Grounded out to Tolbert at second base in the first inning. Takes outside, ball one. So that makes him 3 out of 13 against his former teammate with 6 strikeouts. One and one. In asking Alex about Brian Dunsing when they were at Nebraska, Alex was quick to point out that he was hurt. And in 2004, the year before he was drafted, Dunsing had the Tommy John surgery. So he dropped, if that's what you want to call it, to the 3rd round in 05. Otherwise, might have been drafted higher than that. But teams wanted to make sure that he had bounced back from the surgery. His last win was 8 starts ago. Back on April the 23rd against the Indians. So well over a month since Brian Dunsing has won a game. In his last 7 starts, whether he has gotten a decision or not, the Twins have lost.
Yeah, not many innings pitched either in the last 4 or 5 games. It's either been all on, all off.
Tolbert to KCA for 1, and the Twins turn a double play. Time Warner Cable wideband internet pitch speeds. 94, Brian Dunsing. 88, Jeff Francis. And all 3 runs allowed by Francis were unearned. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Twins. No runs, 2 hits for the Royals. And a big error. Jason Repko drove in 2 in that 3-run first inning with a single. And for him, that put an end to an 0 for 14. And now thinking about bunting. That was not an attempt at a bunt on appeal to first base umpire Mike Winters.
Yeah, different kind of approach for this team that's on the field today. Usually Marno, they're sitting there with Tomey and just swinging away, and they're looking for the big bomb from one of those guys. And now these guys out here, they have to be a little more imaginative to try to score some runs.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And as we talked about the other night, this is closer to the A.J. Pierzynski, Doug Minkiewicz, Christian Guzman, Jock Jones, Corey Koski version of the Twins. Repko is 1 for 2. And that's 5 in a row retired by Francis. This and every Wednesday, it's Ink Student Night and Local Music Showcase. Get a $7 game ticket, pregame happy hour specials, and enjoy one of KC's best bands. This week, music from the Grizzly Hand before the Royals take on the Blue Jays. A 7:10 game. The gates will open at 6. Her ball is outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Drew Butera put an end to the top of the first inning with a ground out to short. One and one.
Drew Butera is really getting a lot more playing time than he anticipated when the season started. And Mara goes out and he's getting a lot more playing time. So I'm sure he's disappointed with his batting average. You'd like to perform a lot better when the number 1 guy is out. But he can catch and he can throw.
This is his 36th game. Last year he only played in 49 games. And most of those games behind the plate is Carl Pavano's personal catcher, and he helped Pavano to a complete game on Friday. That's the first strikeout for Francis today, and there are 2 down in the 4th.
Like I said, this is the pitch he's got to have right here. And you take a look at that pitch right here. If he stays right there, he can never get hurt in that spot there. It took him a while to get to that spot, so now he's got to be able to repeat it over and over again.
Now he gets a call over the inside and a strike on Matt Tolbert. Line to left, but right at Alex Gordon. So a second straight 3 up, 3 down for Francis. taste greatness moment later in tonight's game. How does that cold beverage look to you on a day like today?
Man.
A strike to Melky Cabrera. You remember Chuck Thompson, who broadcasted the Baltimore Orioles.
Yes.
When you were playing. Great voice, Hall of Fame broadcaster.
Had the fancy sport coach.
And we know how hot it can get here, and Baltimore can be the same in the summer. And one of his trademark calls, apparently he would wait for the right moment when not a whole lot was going on and just figured people were either listening on the radio away from the game or at the stadium, and he would just blurt out of the blue, "Ain't the beer cold?"
That's it.
That's it. One of his trademark calls. Melky flied out to deep left in the first inning. Eric Hosmer next, and then Jeff Francoeur. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Royals with 2 singles in the first 3 innings against Dunsing, Butler in the second, and Escobar in the third. Twins turned a double play in the third after Escobar's single. So Dunsing has faced 1 over the minimum. Hits another ground ball out, and Melky is 0 for 2. And now Eric Hosmer. It was a tough first inning for Hosmer. He committed a throwing error in the first inning on an aggressive play trying to get the lead runner at second base on a bunt. The end result was 3 unearned runs. And then when he batted in the bottom of the first, just got a half swing in against Dunsing and grounded out to first.
But the one thing about that play, though, he never hesitated. He knew exactly what he wanted to do when he fielded that bunt. And that's the first bat throw he's made down there, but he wasn't indecisive or anything like that.
And now he gets that one through the right side. A 7-game hitting streak for Hosmer. 6 hits this weekend against the Twins.
Does a good job just keeping his hands back and rotated balls away from him a little bit. It shows you an idea what kind of strength he has, and he's able to hit a hard ground ball between first and second. Well, that's a powerful swing there. I mean, that's good leverage. And when he makes his mind up to let it go, it's going.
0-1 on Francoeur. He popped out to first in the second inning. Two. Royals have played 4 straight games where they have scored only 2 runs per game. And while shutting out the Angels on Wednesday, 2 was enough. But now have lost 3 straight against Minnesota, scoring just 2 runs apiece. The Royals have just 1 home run in their last 5 games. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Francoeur.
Got to get back to clutch hitting. If it hadn't been on base, that hadn't been a problem. It's just getting them around and getting them across home plate. So that's where that word clutch comes in, and Ned Yost had mentioned that earlier this year. Just need better clutch hitting.
Francoeur going after a pitch down and away and strikes out. Dunsing has his second. As part of our Fox Sports Supports charitable initiative, we are proud to wear these pins for our 2011 MLB on Fox Sports Kansas City season to support Stand Up to Cancer in their work to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment for patients. For more information, please visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports. And that has a little more meaning for us this year, obviously. Jimmy Butler singled with 1 out in the second inning, batting with Hosmer at first and 2 down. It was only the second hit and 13 career at bats for Butler against Brian Dunsing. And that's stroked into left center field. Young closing in on it, but because of the spin, it backed up. He almost ran right by it. So Billy 2 for 2, and the Royals have 2 on.
Billy had to reach a little bit for this pitch, and that's why you saw all that top spin on the ball when it went out there, Ryan. And the ball got up there and hit the ground, checked up. And Delvin Young just had a hard time squeezing, so much spin on the ball. And Haas goes around second base. He's checking it out, but he had already just, once you stop those feet, it's kind of hard to get going again.
And now Bedamit, who struck out looking in the second inning on a bizarre play where he didn't ask for time, but just stood there with 2 strikes and allowed Dunsing to throw a strike. And we think that he was convinced that Dunsing was throwing to first base. Her ball is in for a strike, 1-1. Still batting over 300, 302 altogether, but 395 with runners in scoring position. That is the 4th best batting average in the American League. Grounded to third and foul. So he has been clutch with runners in scoring position, and in the most clutch of scenarios, 2 outs with runners in scoring position, batting at .286. With 1 out, Hosmer singled. With 2 outs, Butler singled. Got him with a fastball up and away. Tough day for Bedamit. He strands 2. Minnesota leads 3-0. Much his fault. An error led to 3 unearned runs, but in typical Jeff Francis fashion, 3 runs in the first and now 3 scoreless innings.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. He's done a good job making adjustments and keeping the Royals in this game. And the Royals have had opportunities. They're still looking for that key clutch hit from their offense.
Top of the order for the 3rd time, Ben Revere opened the game with a single and scored in the 3-run inning. and then grounded out hard to first base in the second. So an opportunity here for Ben Revere. Two balls, one strike. Bedamit, nice play, turns all the way around, throws high, and he's lucky he's got Hosmer over there. So that takes a big distraction off the bases. One down in the fifth inning.
Well, you're right when you called it. Anyone other than Hosmer, this is a safe guy at first base, and Hosmer's got that good range and he's able to get back down to the base in plenty of time. But you can see how high he's up to make this catch, and I don't think anybody else at first base gets that high.
I don't think Matt Stairs makes that play. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he doesn't make that play. But I think it's easy to see the athletic ability of Eric Hosmer just about the way he moves. You know, not only just offensively, but how he moves around the base, how he adjusted to different types of throws that come to first base. And really, I think the biggest surprise that anyone who hadn't seen him play would be the way he runs the bases. He's a lot faster than people think for a big guy.
Line to left field deep, and it will sail over Alex. And AT KCA, who had only 9 extra base hits before that at bat, it's his 7th double the year and picks up his 8th hit of the series. So 1 on 1 out. Let's go to Joel Goldberg. Today is at carsoup.com. Email the booth day, and Joel has been keeping an eye on the questions. Hello, Joel.
All right, Ryan. Well, we've got some of those questions, and I've got somebody here for help on one of the answers, too. Michael Kraft, Prairie Village, Kansas, wants to know, do you think that Crow could become a starter if Soria goes back to closer? We get this question, I think, on a daily basis, so I think Jeff Montgomery probably can give us a good answer. Monty?
Joel, we know that Aaron Crow's throwing the ball well out of the pen. We don't know what he's going to do as a starter, and I have that philosophy. It's not broke, don't fix it. Let's leave him in the bullpen.
And then revisit that maybe next year?
When you need a starter, which I'm not saying we don't need a starter now, but when you know for sure he's ready, then give him a shot.
All right, so good advice there from Jeff Montgomery, who certainly knows a thing or two about that. Guys, another question for you. I've got a few of them. Some will take a little bit longer, but with 2 outs, I'll give a simple one to Ryan from Eric Figge in Manhattan.
Don't give me a tough one.
Okay, here you go. Actually, maybe it's tough. No, Ryan, is it hard to switch modes when you do radio broadcasts versus TV?
Good question. Good question. Only if it's been a while since I've done one or the other. Big thing is just to describe the pitches.
On radio, you get to describe the plays. You set the stage for the people on radio, and I know when I listen to radio games, that's what I enjoy most. That from the announcers is just setting the stage, getting me ready for that next pitch, and then listen for the crack of the bat.
Radio, it's just you and the microphone. Talk to Denny or Bob, depending on what day it is. And that's it. TV, you've got a producer, blah, 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 in your ear all day, so you have to get used to that. Oh, I'm sorry, are we live? But the big thing is like TV, you are just kind of like the, I don't want to get over dramatic, but on TV you're just kind of like the tour guide. You know, everyone can see what's going on the screen. You're just kind of adding a little here and a little there, but and I use this very loosely, Joel, but on radio you're more of the artist. You're the one creating what everybody is looking at. They're taking their tour through the museum.
Here you have guys like Sam Abramson and Al Broughton to be the artist for you.
That's right. And artists they are. Escobar throws out Valencia. And now 4 straight scoreless innings for Jeff Francis. talk enough about, but that little guy is loving getting soaked today on a hot afternoon in Kansas City. Feels as good as anybody here today. Earlier today, we were talking about the bottom of the Royals batting order and the struggles recently. And on our AT&T trivia question for today, who holds the Royals record for most RBIs in a season, batting ninth? Lower third of Mike Aviles, Brian Pena, and Alcides Escobar coming up. Two balls, no strikes. Aviles grounded out to second base in the second inning, trying to snap out of an 0 for 9. Two and one. 4 singles for the Royals. They left 2 on base in the fourth. Only one time today has a Royal reached second base against Dunsing. Tolbert goes out looking up into the sun and brings it down. Aviles is 0 for 2. A 3:10 game coming up on Thursday. Royals and the Toronto Blue Jays. And you can purchase all-you-can-eat seats for that game. It includes all the hot dogs, nachos, peanuts, pretzels, and Pepsi products you can handle for one low price. For more details, visit 1-800-6-ROYALS or go to royals.com/need. Brian Pena fly to left in the third inning. One and one. So the Royals have the Blue Jays beginning tomorrow night. Minnesota travels to Cleveland, so this is a long trip for them. 3 cities and a trip of ups and downs so far. They were swept in Detroit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The 6th time this year they have been swept by a team, and that dropped them to a season worst 20 games below 500, but now they've won 3 in a row here. Line right center field. Revere cuts it off. Pena holds with a 1-out single. O'Brien coming back after being down 1-2. And that brings up the Royals' number 9 hitter, Alcides Escobar. Reached with a single in the third inning. So what do you think, Frank? Most RBIs from a number 9 hitter.
Wow, that could be me. Could be Freddie. Man, that's a hard one to call.
Wow. That was a big year for the Royals. Since the DH was introduced in 1973, that is the 12th highest total for a number 9 hitter in the American League. Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. It was a good year for the team. We scored a lot of runs that year.
I don't know if your number's retired without that stat.
Probably not.
That was the tipping point. 8 gold gloves. That's nice. Yeah.
Well, that
World Series championship.
I think it took a smart manager like Dick Howser to look around and say, "Hey, I think this guy can hit lower in the line." That's good. So he just brought me down into the 3rd spot, and in my career, my career took off. Before then, it was strictly most guys I played with. It was always 8th and 9th. With it. 83, Dick Howser said, "Hey, come down to number 3" when George got hurt, and that's when my career offensively took over.
Escobar fouls it off of his foot. So you're saying your career really took off well after that year. I mean, that was Whitey that put you number 9 in 77, right?
Well, that was my first full year playing every day.
Okay.
And so that was where I was next. It was the 8th or 9th for the most part. 87, I think I hit first for a little bit. But then in 83, when George got hurt, then Dick Howser moved me from the 8th spot into the number 3 spot. And then from the next 3 or 4 years, pretty productive.
That same year in 77, Freddie Patek was batting 8th right in front of you, and he had over 50 RBIs, and that's the Royals record for RBIs from a number 8 position. 2 outs. Pena forced out at 7 for a double play. Twins Turned a double play in the third. So Escobar 1 for 2, and we go back to the top of the order again. If you're wondering about the number 7 spot, and I know you are, most RBIs from that position in Royals history. This is a surprise.
It wasn't Steve Alboni?
No. He knew many things, Frank, and apparently Bo knew number 7. 44 RBIs. Is it 44, Kevin, or 45? 45 RBIs in 1988, and is the number 7 hitter. Associate producer Al Broughton with exhaustive research to come up with those numbers. And to flip through all those box scores in about an inning and a half. Alex twice has grounded out to the right side and once into a double play. One and two.
Dunston's breaking ball to Alex is really stretching his swing out a little longer than it normally is. Normally he's a little more compact, a little more together. But that curveball's got him really extending his swing and making his swing really long.
Escobar runs, and Buterra's throw sails into center field. So a stolen base, Escobar's 6th, and an error on Butera.
You can see the quick release from Butera here, but again the ball runs into the runner, and you don't want to get inside that line with the base runner and try to make that catch. So the catcher's got to get the throw back on the bag. But both Butera and Brian Pena, both throws are running into the runner. So that tells the infielders you got to get there early so you can stay inside and try to make the tag down the line.
Thought about it, laid off. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Alex just 3 out of 14 against Dunsing. And we'll do it again. Butera a little concerned about that last pitch, so he goes out to have a word with Dunsing before they go 3-2 again with Alex. Twins trying to win 4 in a row for the first time this year. They have won 3 in a row 4 times, including their current streak. Royals trying to avoid losing 4 in a row. Those numbers, I think, surprise nobody, considering what the Twins have done to the Royals ever since Ron Gardenhire took over in 2002. Look out. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes. Finally, Ron Gardenhire was named American League Manager of the Year last year. Several times he had finished second for the award, but I think if you were to poll the voters and say who is the American League Manager of the last decade, a lot of people would vote for Ron Gardenhire. Alex strikes out, and the Royals leave Escobar at third base. Remember to take your group out to Kauffman Stadium, and when you do so, you will save big. Groups of 20 or more get a significant discount compared to single game ticket prices. So for those tickets, call 816-504-4040 or visit royals.com/group. So 4 straight scoreless innings for Jeff Francis after giving up 3 runs in the first. Popped up, shallow right. Avila's sunglasses down, shading his eyes with his glove, and Delman Young is 0 for 3. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre with Frank White, Joel Goldberg, producer Kevin Schenk, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, and the producer of Royals Live is T.J. McGinnis, and the rest of our Fox Sports Kansas City crew, many of whom are out battling the elements as they normally are in Kansas City, whether it's cold, rainy, windy, misty. Sometimes we'll get some sleet or some snow, and today everybody getting hit by temperatures in the low 90s and full sunlight. Two and two on Luke Hughes, a walk and a ground out to third base. Line to left. Alex does not go into a dive. It skips by him. Hughes will stop at second with a 1-out double. Getting to a point now when a ball is hit in that direction, you expect Alex to do something spectacular.
Well, this ball here was hooking away from him. He had a hard time making a decision. Do I want to dive for this ball, or do I want to go back and play it on one hop? So he really just got caught in between, and he wasn't able to make the adjustment. You can tell right there he was getting ready to go into his dive, and then he realized he had no chance and tried to straighten up, but just wasn't soon enough.
And now line towards left center. Alex will play this one on a bounce. Jason Repko has driven in 3 of the 4 runs, and this was a hitter that was 0 for 14 when the game began. So the ball skipping by Alex and going into the corner has turned into a run.
But Jeff is in the middle of the plate right now, and this ball was hit hard in the left field, and Alex did a good job cutting it off, keeping it from going to the wall. But Luke Hughes is able to score on this base hit, and Alex brings the throw back into second base to keep Repko at first base.
Drew Butera has grounded out and struck out. Francis getting ready to throw his 90th pitch. .99 pitches on average per start this year. This is his 13th start of the season. Change up is low, 2-0. He's been giving the Royals innings lately. 7 innings or more in 3 of his last 4 starts. Escobar, Avilas, Hosmer. So Minnesota gets 1 in the 6th to lead 4-0.
Contestant today is Kimberly McEntee from Lee Summit, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Kimberly will win $1,300. And if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Kimberly will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
All right, Kimberly, you have Melky Cabrera, 7 home runs, Eric Hosmer, 5, Jeff Francoeur, 9 coming up. So a good combination for a Sonic slam inning. Royals have 5 singles in 5 innings against Brian Dunsing. Melky Cabrera flied out to deep left in the first inning, then grounded out to short in the 4th.
I think that's the one thing that over the last 2 nights, last night and this afternoon, is the lack of extra base hits that went through last night's game. And the Royals didn't have an extra base hit last night. And so far in today's game, they don't have an extra base hit.
Getting their share of hits overall, 4th in the league in hitting when the game started, 6th in runs scored. But a bit of a scoring drought over their last 5 games, including today. Three balls, 2 strikes. Dunsing has not walked anyone today. Popped up to the right side. And again, it's Tolbert out into shallow right field. And Melky Cabrera is 0 for 3. This July, baseball's biggest stars will gather together in the Arizona desert for one spectacular night. Summer's biggest event, as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2011 Major League All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 12th, live from Phoenix at 7 p.m., only on Fox. Ball 1 outside to Eric Hosmer. This is not a political statement at all, so there's my disclaimer. 1-1 on Hosmer, but of the players that they just flashed through during that little commercial, one of them was Adrian Gonzalez. Wasn't he going to boycott the All-Star game this year because of Arizona's immigration laws?
There were a couple of guys who said they would. I guess it's still possible. I haven't heard anything lately about it at all.
He's playing an All-Star year, that's for sure. First year with the Red Sox. Off the end of the bat and right to Repko, who has to take 1 step to his left. Hosmer 1 for 3. Adrian Gonzalez of Mexican descent, grew up in San Diego, played for his hometown team until he was traded to the Red Sox during the offseason. And one of many players, right, wrong, or indifferent, that spoke out in protest against those laws. And because the All-Star game was being played there what was next year, now this year, I thought he was one of the guys that said he wouldn't go.
It's been pretty quiet, you know. Last year when it first came out, a lot of guys spoke up, but I just haven't heard much. Heard a little bit in spring training, but no names were attributed.
Dunsing keeps rolling along, a 12 pitch, 1-2-3, 6th inning. Boost is the official soft drink of the Royals and the Fox Sports Kansas City broadcast booth. You'll never sacrifice taste for 0 calories again with Pepsi Max. New look, same great taste, and 0 calories. Pepsi Max. 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Jeff Francis had 4 straight scoreless innings until he allowed a run in the 6th. 9 1 and 2 hitters coming up. Matt Tolbert has popped out, line to left. The Twins scored 3 in the first. All of the runs were unearned. Eric Hosmer with a throwing error. Royals also failed to turn a double play, which was not ruled an error, but it was another out that the Twins had to work with in the first. Bedemeet to Hosmer, and Tolbert is 0 for 3. So with 1 out in the 7th, let's get some more carsoup.com questions from Joel.
All right, Ryan, this one from Annette Lang in Solomon, Kansas, wanting to know the status of the pitchers that are on the disabled list. And Ned Yost talking the other day about Bruce Chen, Kyle Davies maybe being a couple of weeks away, so we'll continue to keep our eye on that. This one for Frank from Brian Garvin in Blue Springs. He says, Frenchie, now these are his words, Frenchie is the Royals clown now. So I know what he's saying, kind of the guy that keeps people loose in the clubhouse. Who was the clown when you were playing? Who was that guy in the clubhouse, Frank, that kept you guys loose?
Well, right away, if we call somebody a clown, that wouldn't go over too well.
Yeah, that's why I qualified that his words. But I'm pretty sure that what he's saying is, who's the guy that likes to have fun and keep people loose? Bruce Chen obviously is that guy as well.
Oh, we had a lot of guys. John Mayberry was one. Hal McRae. We all kind of played a part. Some guys were a little more secretive, like I was. But I think everybody, depending on how well the team is playing, I think a lot of guys kind of served that role. George had something going on. Saberhagen, when he came along, he was more the prankster, the guy that would just give you hot foots and things like that.
All right, Joel, we'll get back to you again, but name the movie. I'm funny? What, like I'm some kind of a clown or something? Oh, that went over really well. Goodfellas. You didn't see Goodfellas?
I was going to say, it sounded like De Niro.
Remember that? No, it was Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. Okay.
I saw the movie.
So, anyway, sure glad I added that to the broadcast. Any other questions, Joel?
Send your Car Soup Goodfellas comments to Ryan. This one from Avery Osen, it looks like, Winfield, Kansas. With the Royals about to make a West Coast trip, they go on Thursday. Does the time change affect players or even, she says, you as broadcasters? But we've talked about that a little bit in the past. Travel is obviously set up really well for these guys, but there is the time factor.
Well, you do have a time difference. When Whitey was our manager and we flew to the West Coast, we would fly that morning of the game. Because he felt we was gaining some time and gained 2 hours. We got there early enough to have lunch and then go to the ballpark. But it's that second day that gets you.
Still 4-0 Minnesota. Miller Lite taste greatness moment. How about Brian Dunsing's work today?
Well, it's an outstanding job, Ryan. Only going 4 2/3 his last outing. He's been able to get through 6 innings today with the Royals, and so far has kept the Royals off the base.
Dunsing has not won since April the 23rd, 8 starts ago. So 0-5 over that stretch and a 7.39 ERA. So really not the victim of bad luck, just not pitching well and not giving Minnesota innings. Frank mentioned that earlier. He's gone 5 or more innings. This is before today. 5 or more innings in only 2 out of 6 appearances. So not winning and not pitching very deep, but much different story today. 5 hits for the Royals today, all singles. 2 from Billy Butler, who had been just 1 for 12 in the past against Dunsing. Billy will be followed by Wilson Betemeat and Mike Aviles. May I add something to our discussion with Carsoup.com with Joel from the last half inning? Joel, and this is just from my perspective, I'm sure the players could feel differently about it, but the first day to the West Coast is better than the first day to the East Coast, because if you're used to getting up at 7 or 8 in the morning, well, if your body clock remains the same on the West Coast, that's 5 or 6 in the morning. It's always nice to roll over and think, oh, it's time to get up, and it's only 5:15, and you go, oh,
Of course,
you got another hour and a half, hour 45 to go here.
Of course, if that first game is in Oakland and that 7th, 8th, 9th inning is taking place around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night,
yep,
and there's now 3,000 people in the stadium, and the chill is taking over, and it's nice and cool, and you're thinking it feels like about 12:31 in the morning. That's the other side of it. Hey, I needed to update you.
Boy, can't wait to get to Oakland now, Joel.
Well, at least we go to Anaheim first, so that's okay. I got a car soup question from some guy named Joe Poznansky. Wants to know if Ryan
from
is
the north.
Yes, he wants to know if Ryan is the only guy in the booth to see Goodfellas. It's a great movie. I don't know about Frank. I'm terrible with movie lines.
I've seen it. I'm like you, Joel. I don't remember half of it. I know it's an action movie, gangster movie. I do know that much.
Goodfellas, that great comedy.
Well, while we know Joe is watching, we can all say that we will miss him as he's moving to Charlotte full time. Thanks to the internet, we can still read him, Sports Illustrated, and his blog, and occasionally, we hope, with the Kansas City Star, but moving closer to family in Charlotte. And by the end of this upcoming week, he will no longer be living in Kansas City.
He will be missed for sure, and you're right. In this day and age, we can read it all and keep up. But he wrote an amazing blog, I would say about maybe a month ago or so, just talking about how much this place really became his home, and this was it. But time for him to move on, and he will be missed.
Betemeat pops it up. That's a long run for Tolbert, a long run for Repko, and Repko brings it down. So Butler back to first and 1 out. You can stay connected to the Royals on Twitter by following @Royals for breaking news, instant game discussion, and special discounts. There's no better place. Follow @Royals today. Mike Aviles 0 for 2 and now 0 for his last 10. Hey Joel, while you're corresponding with Joe Poznansky, make sure he's on time tomorrow. You'll know what that means.
He knows.
Okay.
Joe, I can tell him right. You just told him. I mean, I could text him
true.
too.
That's
in
right.
In case he switched the channel to watch Goodfellas.
No, he was just waiting to hear his name, and then he turned off the TV. He got some boxes to pack or something like that. Two balls and one strike on Aviles. Dunsing coming up on 100 pitches, but at the moment the Twins don't seem to be concerned with that. There is nobody warming up, and he's only been an 89 pitch per start. Of course, that's an average this year. You factor in the heat and you wonder if it feels more like now 99 pitches. And as I speak, Repko makes the catch and the Twins begin to move around in the bullpen.
Well, raw hitters aren't scoring up a lot of balls today. They're really doing a lot of pop-ups in this team.
Now Brian Pena with a runner at first and 2 down, 1 for 2 today. And Brian was the winner today in our Sprint You Call It question. Your favorite defensive play of the week. Brian blocking the plate on Denard Span Friday night over Alcides Escobar on Thursday, and Alex Gordon on Sunday. A little bit outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Dunsing's season high is 111 pitches, and he's done that twice. But he will fall short of that as Valencia throws to second for the force. And Brian Dunsing, who hasn't won in 8 starts, has 7 scoreless innings. Brought to you by Panera Bread. Texas beats Cleveland. Cleveland's lost 4 in a row. It is Boston in front of Oakland. They won in 14 innings over the A's yesterday. 3-run home run for Carl Crawford. Toronto leading at Baltimore. We'll see the Blue Jays tomorrow. Detroit is leading at Chicago, so the Tigers could move to 2.5 back in the Central. Yankees in front of the Angels. Tampa Bay at Seattle later tonight. Chevy call to the bullpen. 7 good innings from Jeff Francis, only 1 earned run, and now he hands the ball off to Blake Wood.
But Blake's been pretty good his last few times out. His fastball's been there. There's a lot of movement to his fastball, a lot of good sink. So the adjustments that he's been working on the last 2 outings have been very good.
Michael Kadire has had nothing to do with the Twins' 4-run 5 runs driven in the first 3 games. Off the end of the bat, Hosmer fields. Lakewood kicks the bag, and Kadir is 0 for 4. On Friday, June 4th, Kansas City hometown celebrities Paul Rudd, Rob Riggle, and Jason Sudeikis will return to Kauffman Stadium before the Royals take on the Cubs. The comedians, not to be confused with clowns, along with special celebrity guests, will play in the first annual Big Slick Celebrity Wiffle Ball game here at the Little K, 5:30 p.m. prior to the Royals and Cubs. So be sure to come early, catch a piece of Hollywood and KC. Nice of them to give back to Kansas City. Had a lot of fun with them last year, didn't we? I mean,
yeah.
Joel had the assignment of a lifetime down with those 3 guys and Will Ferrell in the third base dugout suite. And a battle cry was born that night. Come on, Chen.
I think we have a friend that's going to join us here in a second here. Let's get a couple more mics in here, and Robbie, you can take this one. And so we've got 3.
Let's
Kansas
go,
City
Royals! Come on, Chen!
Why are you getting on Chen's case?
Valencia grounds out, 2 ground ball outs for Blake Wood. Why was he getting on Chen's case? We didn't catch the end of that clip. That's right, he was loafing, he was lollygagging.
What they call Gene Lamont, third base coach, to Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Third base coach. Developed a little song for Gene Lamont.
Rob Riggle from Shawnee Mission South. Paul Rudd, Jason Sudeikis from Shawnee Mission West. Will Ferrell did not attend a Shawnee Mission school. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Delman Young. It was a poker tournament for Children's Mercy Hospital last year, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Delman Young strikes out, a very good 8th inning for Blake Wood.
The pitching performance today of Jeff Francis ran into some trouble in the first, didn't get a lot of help from his defense as well. We'll talk about that. Highlights, reaction to the Toronto series coming up, and much more on Boulevard Royals Live. And you can text in questions, 432-432 space, keyword live, and we'll answer those as well. Guys?
All right, Joel. Now, Joel, TJ McGinnis who has several other names he goes by, but we'll stick with TJ
Also
McGinnis.
TJ McGinnis.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, how do you spell that?
He dropped by the booth and told us that we're going to be recapping our season totals for the Fox Hot Watch.
Yes, and I forgot that 5 minutes after he told me that, but it might be the best thing we have on Boulevard Royals Live today, because we actually have an intern, Luke, who went through and crunched all of the numbers and did the percentages, since some have traveled and some haven't, and I can tell you that neither one of you two are in last place. I cannot say the same for my partner.
Really?
So he's preparing right now to tell us why he isn't last.
I have been told that I have the longest winning streak of the year and the longest losing streak of the year.
Well,
we'll look forward to that. That's a season high 7 1/3 innings for Brian Dunsing. It's the 6th time this year he's gone at least 7 innings. 106 pitches. His season high is 111 against his former college teammate. He has gotten Alex Gordon a ground out to second base twice. One of those was a double play, and Alex has struck out. Broke his bat, and Luke Hughes to the bag, 2 down in the 8th. Toronto Blue Jays in town tomorrow night, 7:10 first pitch. Felipe Paulino will make his second start, 3rd appearance since joining the Royals. Brandon Morrow, who came very close to pitching a no-hitter for the Blue Jays last year, he'll start for Toronto. IB Royals Live with Joel and Monty begins at 6:30. Melky Cabrera, a fly out, a ground out, and an infield pop up. 1 ball, 1 strike. And this will be a season high 112th pitch for Dunsing. And he's done it on a sunny day in Kansas City with temperatures in the low 90s. 2-1. Broken bat, soft liner will drop into left center field. Melky takes a wide turn but holds with 2 outs in a 4-run game, so he is 1 for 4. And warming up behind Dunsing, Alex Burnett, the right-hander, Phil Dumatre, the lefty. And we saw both of those pitchers last night. Eric Hosmer to right field, got it down around the end of the bat. And for the first time this year, Brian Dunsing goes 8 innings. The first, 1 in the 6th. Chevy called to the bullpen for the Royals. Jeff Francis went 7, Blake Wood 1, and now Jesse Chavez makes his season debut for KC. Called up from AAA Omaha. 51 games last year for the Braves and the Royals. 28 with Atlanta, 23 with KC. Called up when Sean O'Sullivan was placed on the disabled list.
Very good arm he's got, Ryan. They want to try to get a little bit more movement on his fastball, so they dropped him down a little bit, and that's what's been working for him. He's got a good slider, and he's been working on the changeup.
Here's that slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Luke Hughes. A walk for Hughes today, a double, and a run scored. Two and two. Pass Bedamede and into left field. Luke Hughes has his second hit. And that'll bring up Jason Repko. 2 hits, both times drove in runs. They are our Chevrolet plays of the game.
Got the Twins on the board in the first inning. Bases loaded single in the center field, played it 2 runs, and then he came back in the 6th inning with another base hit and RBI to left field.
He had been 0 for his last 14 for the 2-run single in the first. One ball, no strikes. Chavez coming over with Gregor Blanco and Tim Collins. Last July the 31st, right at the trading deadline. And the deal that sent Rick Ankiel and Kyle Farnsworth to Atlanta. Neither player still with the Braves. Ankiel with Washington and Farnsworth with Tampa Bay. Popped up. Tough play for Aviles, but Frank Coeur got a good break, so he bails him out. Repko is 2 for 4.
A lot of pop-ups today.
I was thinking the same thing. And this is a tough day for pop-ups with a light blue sky, full sunshine. So just about everybody with the sunglasses on. There really is no good spot for a pop-up today. Remind a lot of players of what it's like during spring training in Arizona.
Yeah, high sky. I kind of look at Francis and Dunsing, and when you see this many pop-ups in a game, it means the pitchers are hitting that location pretty good.
Drew Butera has grounded out 3 times, one of those a double play. No balls, 1 strike. So Chavez with the good arm, and when he got to the Royals last year, Bob McClure made a suggestion that he drop down his arm a little bit, give him a little more movement and deception to go with the velocity. One ball, 1 strike.
Today's the location on that fastball on the outside part of the plate has been pretty good. And part of pitching is being able to hit the catcher's mitt. And then Ryan wanted that pitch right there. Both times he's hit the mitt.
Laid on the fastball, 92 miles an hour, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, 92 on the outside corner like that. Just not a lot that Butera can do with that pitch. I mean, you get up on the plate and try to increase your area of swing, but where he's standing right now, that's a difficult pitch for him.
And now up the middle and into center field. Butera has his first hit, and Luke Hughes will go first to third.
And we talk about location, and Jesse Chavez left that one right in the middle of the plate. And Butera did what he's supposed to do, hit it back to the middle. You see where Brian Payne wants this pitch, and this ball just runs right back into Drew Butera's swing.
And now Matt Tolbert, 0 for 3, batting at 193. Tolbert doesn't have much of a average in the big leagues, but against the Royals, he was at 345 in his career before the game started, and at almost 440 this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. Middle infielder, can play second base and short. He's played quite a bit of both this year. Switch hitter, good bunter, good speed. And he lines that into right center field. Francoeur can't cut it off. It's going to roll deep. Hughes scores. Butera is around third. Aviles plays it to third. Tolbert has a 2-run triple, and Minnesota leads 6-0.
It's fastball supposed to be on the outside corner, but it goes right down the middle of the plate and it stayed down. And Tolbert did a good job getting through this ball. And this ball was a shot in the right center field. Francoeur took the angle, but couldn't beat the ball to that spot, and he gets by. Then you see Butera pulling up the end there for that second run. That's a long run for a catcher this time of day.
Boy, what has happened to the Royals on this homestand?
The offense is just you're just not scoring runs. When you don't score runs, everything looks ugly. When you just sit back and look at it, it's not that they haven't had men on base. It's just that your extra base hits are pretty much not there. If you don't have extra base hits, it's going to be hard to score a lot of runs. If you're going to have to get 3 hits every run you score, that's not going to work too well.
Infield in with Ben Revere at the plate. Royals came back from the road trip. They took 2 out of 3 from the Angels. And then Minnesota coming to town. They had just been swept by the Tigers and were losers of 10 of their last 12. So this thing was lined up for a great homestand. It's the longest homestand for the Royals this year as far as games. And now they're 3 outs away from being swept in 4 games. 3 balls, 1 strike. And after this homestand, which concludes on Thursday, the Royals will play 18 of their next 24 games on the road. Chop to first. Tolbert will hold at third and go get Ben Revere. So he's 1 for 5 and a runner at third with 2 outs. Royals will be heading to the West Coast on the next trip, going to first Anaheim, then Oakland, then interleague play, and in St. Louis 2 weekends from now, and the following road trip against San Diego, Colorado, and the White Sox. Outside to AT KCA. 2 out of 3 today. 8 out of 15 in the series. When this series began, Frank, he was hitting .231. Now he's hitting .262.
Well, you kind of knew he was a better hitter than that. He just got up to a terrible start, and he just put himself in a pretty good situation where he's starting to see the ball. The swing is real short and compact and not chasing bad pitches, and just squaring the ball up. Last night, 4 hits last night, really, when you're trying to get your average going in the right direction, that's the way to do it. But he's been, not just weak singles, but he's hitting extra base hits.
And he had to be shaken emotionally when this season began because he laid down a bunt on Wednesday night in Detroit in the 9th inning with 2 strikes and struck out when he fouled it away, and his manager got all over him. So the batting average dropped. His morale, I'm sure, was low. But apparently Ron Gardenhire said the right thing, because now KCA back with 8 hits in this series.
And a lot of it, too, is how your team is playing. If the Twins are playing Twins baseball, then Ron Gardenhire is not going to get that upset. But when you're having trouble scoring runs and you're not playing smart baseball, and that sort of affects everybody. And I think that's why he reacted the way he did. But he probably got him in there behind closed doors and explained the golden rule to him and said, look, I got confidence in you. Go out there and play your game.
And he's on base again. So a long inning for Chavez. 2 runs, 3 hits, and now a walk. And it'll bring up Michael Kadire. Kadire has hit in 5 straight, but today he is 0 for 4. Drove in 5 runs in the first 3 games. Couple of home runs, giving him 19 for his career against the Royals, and that's the most for him against any American League team.
I think the frustrating thing for a reliever like Chavez, who started the season in Omaha, and you worked on all the changes and you're having success down there, and that first time out, you kind of want to be impressive. You want to come out and show that everything you've worked on is working, but right now he's struggling more with his command, and the innings getting long for him, and you just hope that from a confidence standpoint he stays in there with you.
On the ground to Escobar. Flip to Aviles to end the inning. Minnesota adds 2 more, so the Royals are down by 6 with their last 3 outs. By Minnesota, and Minnesota in the season series after the Royals won 4 of the first 5. So Matt Capps in a non-save situation will get Jeff Francoeur, Billy Butler, and Wilson Bettamy. It is a reunion of sorts, with Matt Capps pitching to Jeff Francoeur as they played with and against one another growing up in the Atlanta area, against each other in high school, and asked Matt Capps what he remembered about Jeff Francoeur, and without hesitation, he said, "Best play I've ever seen in my life." So this is a guy who has played high school at a high level, minor leagues, been a big leaguer for a while now. But apparently Francoeur and Capps hooking up, and somebody on Matt Capps' team hit a home run, I think he said to left center field, until Francoeur arrived and not only robbed the home run, but threw all the way back to first base from left center field and doubled off a runner.
From left center field?
From left center field.
Wow.
I would say that would qualify as a pretty good play. Chopped to short, and KCA throws out Francoeur. Tough day for him, 0 for 4. Francoeur then shared a little information with me about Matt Capps. He said, I said, was he a hard thrower back then too? He said, absolutely, and he could really hit. And apparently those two are playing together on Team Georgia, a high school all-star team. And in their first game in another state, Francoeur said Matt Capps hit one of the farthest home runs he's ever seen. But as he was rounding third base, he twisted his ankle, blew out his ankle, and he was done for the entire tournament, and then pitched very little, played very little his senior year in high school.
Now he was on a home run trot?
In a home run trot coming around third base. Well, a bright spot for the Royals today. Billy Butler has 3 hits, and with a walk, on base 4 times, 1 on, 1 out in the 9th. I was kind of like a ping pong ball. I had Matt Capps telling me to go ask Francoeur about the play, and then Francoeur telling me to go ask Capps about the home run. It's kind of bouncing back and forth between the two.
You couldn't get them both together at the same time in the middle of 2 locker rooms. Okay, tell me the story.
And now strike to Wilson Betemit. Now the Royals have struggled to score runs now in 5 consecutive games. 4 straight games, just 2 runs per game, and now no runs with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. But you have to give Twins pitching some credit. They may have the worst record in the major leagues. They may be the only team that has not won 23 games yet in the major leagues, but the Twins' ERA in this 4-game series is 1.54.
Well, all the pitchers stepped up, no doubt about it, and that's why the Royals have had their trouble, because they've been able to minimize damage, and they've been able to keep the Royals hitters off balance. But you see the Royals they get runs on base, but they just can't seem to be able to get them across the plate. And you kind of see this coming. You kind of, if this ends in a shutout, you can kind of see this coming. You got all these games where you haven't scored no runs, and the pitchers seem to get better and better. And now this would be what you consider rock bottom. So you hit rock bottom, and then everybody takes a deep breath, and you get things going again. Hopefully that's how it happens. But when you don't score runs, sooner or later, they're just going to shut you down.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Betemit. And this Minnesota offense, when the series began, 2nd lowest average in the league, fewest runs, 3rd fewest home runs, 3rd fewest stolen bases. They have scored 8 runs. They have scored 5 runs. They have scored 7 runs, and now 6 more today. Today is the only day that they have not had 10 or more hits. 2 down. Betemit strikes out for the 3rd time, so a thoroughly forgettable day for him. Two down in the 9th. And now Mike Avila's 0 for 3, 0 for his last 11, so he'd like to get a base hit here, if for anything else, to show up tomorrow and not have to think about putting an end to an offer. Butler moves up to second base, and the fans go nuts over that. Not all of them aware of the defensive indifference ruling with which an official score can give. So it's not a stolen base. Defensive, I don't care.
That's what it should be. You want it, there it is.
One ball, 2 strikes.
You know, some teams I've played on, you go through something like this, and the next day you come out and nobody takes batting practice. You just go right into the game without any batting practice, and everybody seems to bounce back. Today's players, I don't think they're confident enough to go into a game without having a whole lot of preparatory work before the game.
The Minnesota Twins, for the first time this year, have won 4 straight, and they do it in a 4-game sweep over the Royals. So they were swept in Detroit to begin a 3-city road trip, and now take care of the Royals in 4. Final score 6-0. We'll be right back.